Mom, I'm home. Asriel stepped over the threshold to the living room. Chris immediately ran at their older brother, arms spread wide.
Izzy.
They shouted, wrapping their arms around him. Despite their relatively small size, their short arms managed to fully encircle the beanpole teen. I'm choking. My family made some baked pumpkin seeds because there's a pumpkin, and I'm choking on them now. Fuck. Everyone bake pumpkin seeds. It's like free food. If you carve a pumpkin, you just bake the seeds, and they're pretty good. You put like steak spice on them. Got a Tupperware full of them, yes. Choking on seed, behave yourself, chat. Despite their relatively small size, their short arms managed to fully encircle the beanpole teen. Asriel leaned down and reciprocated the embrace. Howdy, Chris. Did you have a good day? Chris nodded, still holding on. Chris was usually not the most excitable kid, nor the most physical, but around Asriel they were like a different person altogether. Toriel stepped into the living room from the kitchen. She was wearing an apron with spots of spilled flour on it, and on one hand she held a rolling pin. Asriel, it is wonderful to see you, my child. Dinner will be ready in an hour. How was your day at school? Her question was cut off as she noticed another figure stepping into the house. Hello there, Mrs. Dreamer. Miss Dreamer. You know what I mean? I wonder if this one will have Halloween in it. Who knows? Toriel fixed him with a withering glare, strong enough to instantly disintegrate most monsters in Undertale, based on sheer malicious intent alone.
Actually, that only accounts for human souls going to monsters. It's unclear if monsters are vulnerable to malicious attacks by other monsters.
Fortunately for Pants, this wasn't Undertale. Unfortunately for Pants, that meant he was still alive to experience Toriel's wrath. Disdain radiated from her like a rod of red-hot iron, but twice as scalding and far less likely to bend. And way bigger! Except way smaller, I mean! Pants glanced between her face and the rolling pin in her hand. If she were to attack him, could he escape? Alright. Seeing the need to step in, Asriel concluded the hug and stepped in. Oh, wait a minute. I just remembered. I wanted to know who the narrator was in this fic. It was S. Who is S? Susie? Susie is S. Sans is S. I don't know of anyone else. Scaster. Sans is S. Alright, we can call it there. It was this big! The size of this walnut, except way smaller! Yeah, that's what I was going for. Asriel concluded the hug and stepped in. Mom, I brought a friend over. I was thinking Pants could stay for dinner. The two of us could hang out a while. Would that be all right? She pondered this for a moment. As much as she disapproved of the cat, she knew that to turn him away would be a breach of hospitality, an unforgivable sin in front of her own children. The deed was done. Asriel clearly invited him over, and to renege on such an offer would be terribly rude indeed. Very well, Toriel conceded. She was audibly annoyed, but did her best to put on an air of affability. Toriel turned and walked back to the kitchen without another word. Asriel gestured at the couch. Make yourself at home. Pants complied, flopping onto the seat of the couch. No, the right seat of the couch. The right one. Asriel walked to the television set and pressed the power button. The TV remained turned off, because it was still Chapter 1. Still holding the button down, he wiggled the button slightly. Through some miracle of biology, this caused the button to actually work. I guess I'll count that. TV biology. Okay, we got Chris. I guess Toriel's outfit was described, technically. This is fine. What did you stumble into? Saw the stream title, right? Yeah, it's gay fanfiction. The stream viewers make the fanfiction, I read the fanfiction. Cycle of life. That's how it goes. God, these pumpkin seeds take a while to chew. Maybe they were a bad idea. The TV buzzed and the screen slowly faded to life. They are confirmed CRT users, Molly Stars is in chat. He turned on the gaming console on the floor, then grabbed the controllers and sat next to the Pants on the couch. The controller's taut wires pulled the console slightly closer to the couch, and for a second Pants was concerned that they wouldn't reach, but the cables remained plugged into their ports. Asriel handed a controller to Chris, who had climbed up on the last remaining seat of the couch to Asriel's left, then offered the other to Pants. Would you like to have the first turn? You're my guest, after all. Besides, Asriel added, his voice playfully exaggerated. Give Chris a chance to warm up before they take on a real pro. Chris stuck their tongue out at Asriel and then smiled, pleased with their act of childish rebellion. Asriel placed a hand to his chest in mock offense with a small civilized gasp. Turning to Pants, he stated dramatically, Pants, you're not going to let them treat them. No, Pants, you're not going to let them treat us like that, right? You simply must defend our honor. Show us who's the better super smashing fighter. Who's Pants' main? Because we know Chris is gonna main Fox, obviously. And then Asriel's Yoshi. Although I heard some like advanced speculation the other day that like, based on the apparent time period, Chris is more likely to have been a Marth main, because that was actually older than Fox mains. I forget what the logic was. I'd ask Toffee if she was here. Pants smiled in recognition of the challenge and attempted to think of something to say that matched the jovial mood of the conversation, but couldn't think of anything, and so remained smiling awkwardly. Chris looked at him expectantly, waiting for Pants to respond to their trash-talking in kind, before realizing that no response was forthcoming and returning their attention to the character selection screen. They selected the Glacier Scalers. Oh no, they haven't banned wobbling in the home context, have they? Oh no, and grinned devilishly. Pants carefully scanned the roster and picked the most visually awesome character he could find. Some sort of giant, scaly, fire-breathing lizard dude named Bouncer. Great. I know just enough about Smash to get the joke. I'm so proud of myself. Chris selected a stage and, after a short loading screen, they began. To say that the round lasted for a full minute would be inaccurate. It would, however, be quite generous to Pants. Asriel looked at the screen wide-eyed and pale-faced under his fur. Chris put the controller down and stated simply,
Birdie showed me how to do that.
Pants looked to Asriel in the eye as he passed the controller, a smug look on his face. Well, big shot, I think little buddy's warmed up enough for you. Asriel took the controller, trying to steady his grip. The cheap plastic was slick beneath his hands already. Wiping the cat sweat off the device. Fuck, that's gross. Why, that's so gross. Cats don't sweat, though. That's why it's gross. It's like fish milk. Cat sweat and fish milk. That's uncomfortable. I guess that's fluids. Cat sweat. Mmm. Drink a cat sweat fish milk cocktail with your Toriel-made meth and piss pie. I don't even know what that joke is from anymore. I mean, it's from Kissy Cutie, but fuck knows what the context was. Ram questions in chat for some reason. Yes, cooling rate is really useful if you have alt coolant because it actually nerfs the damage you take from the explosions. They're actually kind of necessary to make alt coolant usable. Okay. Wiping the cat sweat off the device as best he could, with the bottom of his shirt, he selected Yisho, the dragon, and hoped that to the angel that his skill would be enough to pull him through. At last, dinner was ready. As the timer dinged, Toriel removed the pie from the oven and set it gently on the counter. The smell of homemade crust wafted through the house. "Dinner is ready," she called to the living room. Asriel, thankful for the respite, paused the game, and the trio of gamers took their seat at the table. Asriel and Chris bowed their heads as Toriel said a brief prayer. With Chris clasping their hands in front of them, they kept one eye on Pants, who simply sat there, unsure whether it would be sinful to pretend to pray as an atheist. It's a complex question. It's a very complex question. You're talking about harpoon tip, Coca? I love that one. I still don't fully believe that I got it to work as stably as I did. It feels like it should break the game. During the development process of that upgrade, I had router tornadoes. I had like Gary's mod fucking physics glitches destroying everything. Anyway. Talking about RAM made the hiccups go away. As soon as Toriel finished, best music, Chris stated in a taunting voice.
Pants was peeking.
Toriel shot a rueful glare toward Pants. Though whether this was due to Chris's observation or due to the nature of Pants himself was unclear. "Chris, you do realize that means you were peeking too, right?" Asriel retorted.
No, doesn't kind of just squint.
At last, Toriel returned her attention to the rest of the table. "Asriel, how was your day?" "It was good. I got my monster biology test grade back. I got a 98. Monster biology? Sure. "That is wonderful news, my child." Pants let out an impressed whistle. That's what it sounded like. "That's pretty good, Azzy. You sure got me beat." "Indeed," Toriel muttered under her breath. The four continued to eat, making standard dinner table conversation, with Toriel occasionally making quiet, snide remarks about Pants. She was sure he could hear her. Okay, between his perceptive cat ears and the way his face would contort shamefully after each comment, but she didn't care. If Asriel was to insist on keeping him around, she would be damn sure that he knew the pronouns. She would be damn sure that he knew she was not a force to be trifled with. She knew he knew. We're getting back to Bionicle names. I'm still watching the 13-hour-long Bionicle video. And how was Mrs. Boom? Toriel inquired of Asriel at length. The wizened old turtle had approached him about staying after class to help with decorating for the coming holiday. It's Halloween. Oh, this is the turtle. Mr. Boom. "It's Halloween, for the angel's sake. I can't be the only spooky old bat in this classroom." That's how he talks. Halloween? It is Halloween. It's probably patched in. Probably patched in for the stream, I don't care. That, of course. Oops. You just saw my search history there. I hope that wasn't incriminating. See, what was it? It's completely benign. Look at that search history. Completely clean. Shoutouts to Mint Cafe, by the way. Okay. By the way, what is this a reference to? Peeking? Can you not look at each other when you're doing prayers? Is that a thing? I don't know about that. Decorating for the coming holiday, which is why he had arrived home so much later than Chris and his mother. He'd been surprised to find Pants doing the same. It turned out the cat had received detention after a package of cigarettes had fallen out of his jacket pocket during study hall, and this was his penance. Oof. I feel like if you got caught with cigarettes at my high school, you would be suspended, but it's not to say that a million people didn't smoke for some reason, but probably wouldn't go well. You close your eyes or look downward during prayers. Huh. I like the part where Toa Shinu Hinu put the Krana and the Krana in the Makoki stone. I don't know about Toa Shinu Hinu yet. That's a spoiler. I'm only like 3 hours into the video. I've barely started the Mask of Life arc. You know what the funny thing is about the fucking Bionicle video? Is that I've already seen a separate Bionicle video doing the exact same thing in the exact same format, explicitly inspired by Ben Saint. That existed years ago, and now there just is a Ben Saint version, and it's like 3 times as long as the other one was. It's fucked up. I don't know what to think about it, because I remember nothing from the previous one. It's like it's all new to me, and that time is just objectively wasted now. Awesome. Keep getting the pumpkin shit stuck in my teeth. Ah, help. I think I got rid of it. No. Ah. Fuck. I fixed it. Why do I keep eating these? Fuck. What pumpkin? Do pumpkins share? Discuss. We won't be discussing that. Okay, I'm moving into snail's pace. He was his usual jovial self. He told us one of his stories about, the one about the dragon and the farmer with the shotgun. I think he was glad for Pants's and my help. Ah, yes. I heard something about your friend having to stay after class as well. Oh, she knew. That was unfortunate. Desperate for something to change the subject, Asriel shoveled the last couple of bites of supper into his mouth. He chewed quickly and swallowed before making the move. This was a great pie, Mom. Yeah, you really can taste the pot, joked Pants, in a desperate bid to cut the tension at the table. Is it a joke like it's a weed pie? Or a joke like it's a pot pie? Like a chicken pot pie? You get it? I don't know. I don't know what he was going for there. Toriel's eyes narrowed and her snout wrinkled with disapproval. Her actual whole face peeled back into a horrifying visage of gore and shrieked at him, then it went back to normal. Pants immediately broke out in a cold sweat as he realized what he had said, his fur getting grosser by the second. He looked down at the plate, his face shrinking and moving around his face like a DVD screensaver. His face moved around his face. That's awesome. In embarrassment, as he remembered the last time that the subject of himself, Asriel, and Pot had converged in the presence of the Dreamer Matriarch. Asriel, unsure how to salvage the situation at this point, excused himself and nudged Pants under the table to do the same. Pants jumped, not expecting the physical contact, and banged his knee on the underside of the table with a loud thud and the sound of rattling dishes. He quickly hopped up and took his plate to the kitchen, following in Asriel's stead. Toriel didn't object to the abrupt conclusion to their dinner. The sooner this horrible cat boy left the house, the better. Gay cat boy sitting at my dinner table. Just gonna keep going. Yeah, the spooky sound effects ended like hours ago. It wasn't even spooky, it was just like random ASMR sounds. It was like 10 consecutive minutes of someone trying to scratch through a wooden door. I was like, what the fuck even is this? It was just like trying to get the last two pieces of firewood apart when there's have a little bit of wood stuck between them. Okay, chapter 2. As they stepped out of the house, Azzy took Pants by the hand. A light blush appeared on his face, and Pants's face also did something. Asriel and then Pants started walking south at a conversational pace. I thought it said a controversial pace. Can Asriel really walk that fast? Power scalers are debating. The air was cool and saturated with birdsong gently trickling from the trees. The sun hung over the horizon, and the clouds, and while the cloud-dusted sky was mostly still blue, the line dividing the earth and sky was singed orange like a marshmallow barely held over a flame. Beautiful. Okay, so gay is confirmed. Surprisingly unfree space. Takes a while sometimes. Liquid birdsong checks out. That sounds like something you describe birdsong as, a liquid trill. I think you even describe some like sounds and language like as a liquid R. I think that's actually a linguistic term. A liquid R. Or an L. I forget what it means. So Azzy, when you invited me to hang, you mentioned you had something special planned. Care to explain, big guy? Well, I was thinking, there's a special place to the south of here that we used to explore a bit. We? Chris, Noel, Des and I. Back before, you know. Pants nodded. Everyone knew. It was only a couple of years ago that Des had disappeared. It was the talk of the town, it was the talk of the town. Talk of the town for about a week before everyone seemed to have just gotten over it. She hadn't been forgotten. She was still part of every anecdote, still in the pictures upon the Dreamers and Holiday walls, still mentioned in passing from time to time. But despite her prevalence in the community before, the search had been dropped, and nobody had ever made the effort to pick it back up. Anyway, before all that, there was a spot we used to frequent, just south of the church. I figured since you had never been before, I'd show it to you. Plus it would be nice to go there again, for old time's sake. Alright, makes sense. Though, what makes you think I've never been there before? You, like, know everywhere I've ever been or something? I know you're into some weird stuff, Az, but stalking's kind of freaky. Pants joked with a chuckle. Asriel laughed too before responding. Well, you know, it's just that I've never seen anyone else around there. It's a bit odd, really. There's this place that everyone knows about, but nobody knows anything about it. People reach the church and turn to go to the cemetery or the town hall, but never straight ahead. There's a path, but it's not well kept. Except it is? It's hard to explain. You'll see it in a second, we're almost there. Sheldon Lillian is becoming violently emotional at the Toriel's discrimination against Pants. Sometimes it just hits different, I don't know. What is that comment, Wim? I've never been alone with a boy. Ooh, touch fingers. That's so. Why is it so funny? Boss baby voice, getting real Courier new vibes from this one. True. I've already used I had my Boss Baby Courier new moment like earlier in the stream. It's not even this. Oh, and the Liquid Birdsong was a CN reference? What? Because that was my first thought. I was like, that sounds like a Courier new line, but I didn't say it out loud because I knew that'd be fucking brain rot. Fuck you! You've actually used a line that I didn't God damn it. Liquid Birdsong. There's like a 50% chance that Courier's still in the chat, by the way. He was here. He was just fucking here for some reason. Anyway. You're giving me like subliminal tilting messages. It's in 3 fics. I need to make a document of these Courierisms. There's a few. Like the word rhyme, for sure. Hard to think of examples, but when you see it, it's like, it's a Courier thing. The Outer Dark is a reference to a novel. That's like actually a bit. It's like a recurring reference, you know. Inchoate, yep. Chthonic and inchoate, big time. Perhaps thrum, I want to say. It's very hard to think of examples. Big word, yep. I love big words. I just kind of naturally talk like a homestick character in real life. That's my curse. Okay, where were we? As they talked, they'd been cutting through the woods and crossing the streets heading south. Now they stepped out of the woods beside the church. Well, here we are. Oh, Undertale reference! That's the music in the True Laps! Asriel gestured to the path, now visible to them. Is it? I was kind of expecting something weirder. What's all the fuss about? Asriel hummed pensively for a second, trying to find a good way to explain. It's bizarre. There's a direct path to the clearing. I've never seen anybody doing upkeep on it. And I know that nobody uses it enough to keep things from growing on it, but the path's still so clear. And in the center, there's some sort of bunker. If you stand near it, you can hear something, like machinery coming from under your feet. Heh, sounds like a creepy place. Weird that no one talks about it, huh? It really is quite uncanny. Come on, let's go check it out. They're gonna check out the bunker. Asriel was right, Pants noted. The path was clear of any vines, roots, or weeds, lined only with grass, but it wasn't worn at all either. The ground wasn't tamped down by footfalls over the years, and the grass was taller than that around the clearing where the church was. Reaching the bunker, Asriel led Pants by the hand to stand in front of the doors. Love is gonna guide you by the hand. Anyway, as they approached, Pants could hear the sound Asriel had described, getting louder as he approached. A low, inconsistent drone, sputtering and rumbling like an old car engine. When they stood in front of the door, it rattled his bones and shook his teeth despite the relatively low volume. Shiver me timbers and rattle me bones. I don't know what causes that. It has to be some sort of machinery, but what keeps it running? What does it do? It just emits spook into the atmosphere, passively. Asriel released Pants' hand, stepping forward, turned to face Pants and leaned against the door with his arms crossed casually over his chest. Well, I thought he was doing like a Cabadon for a second, but it's the other way around. Okay, I had the wrong image. We used to spend hours out here, spectating. Us speculating, letting our imaginations run wild. Chris would always try to spook Noelle by saying that it was a factory where Icy got the meat they put in their pizzas, and that if she wasn't careful, he'd get her and turn her into a sausage. That is horrifying. Yeah, that sounds like little buddy, always a trickster. That's, If I were to put you in a meat grinder and turn you into an Icy's pizza sausage, I think you'd be dead. Where's the bingo card? Here it is. I think we're gonna get a bingo. This is where they're keeping Germa in there. That's where he retires to. That would be like a new level of hot, getting cabadoned on the Deltarune bunker. Just saying. Specifically on the Deltarune bunker. So like Gaster's on the other side of the door. Yeah. I regret that tangent. Let's start reading the fic again. Pants withdrew a carton of cigarettes from his pocket and pecked out a single cig, then lit it. He sucked some smoke in before blowing it out. Asriel looked at him with a strange look. Pants, you really shouldn't do that. It's bad for your lungs. Besides, you're not old enough for those. And who's gonna stop me, huh? Is this an imposter pants? It's a different color, actually. This pants is a different one. Undyne? Asriel said, as though it was the most obvious thing in the world, which it was. As long as I smoke him before she can smell him, I'm golden. Mr. Boom. Ha! He'd never call me up with something like that. Besides, he's the one who gave him to me. Me? Wait, what? Asriel said, a mischievous glint in his eye. Uncrossing his arms, Asriel made a grab for the cig in Pants' mouth. Cass! But Pants was faster. His face vertically compressed, moving his mouth up a good 5 inches. That's fucking weird. Asriel attempted another grab with his other hand, but to no avail, as Pants rotated his face 180 degrees around the Z-axis, placing his mouth at his forehead and his eyes at his chin. He wiggled his eyebrows tauntingly before rotating his face back into place. That's gotta go crazy, dude. Okay, in a final bid, Asriel placed his hands on Pants' cheeks, not to be confused with the cheeks on his rival's Pants, though the phrasing used may bring such imagery to mind, and kissed him on the lips. The glowing tip of the cigarette pressed against his cheek for a second as Pants held it in stunned silence before it dropped to the ground as Pants reciprocated the kiss. It was a simple, somewhat chaste kiss, nothing more, but they both came away red-faced. Nice. Bingo! Perfect. That was fast. Yeah, Pants' face is spinning like a helicopter rotor while Asriel tries to kiss it. It's like a new fucking form of foreplay. They both came away red-faced. Asriel in particular was absolutely on fire. Pants noticed this after a second of stunned silence, and began swatting gently at Asriel's face to try to put the cigarette-singed fur out. Oh. Asriel realized what had happened and immediately began doing the same. Fortunately, they were able to put it out without anyone getting hurt, though Asriel certainly would be hard-pressed to come up with an explanation for the black patch of fur and smell of singed goat-like entity. Oof. Toriel's immediately going to intuit, like a Danganronpa protagonist, that the fur was singed by Burger Pants' cigarette as they specifically kissed, specifically at the Gaster bunker. With the emergency taken care of, the two looked at each other for a second before bursting into laughter. It really wasn't all that funny, but they were both still positively giddy from the lip-to-lip contact, so they could probably be excused for the severity of the outburst. This fic is literally what if we kissed at the Gaster bunker. That is literally the fic. Once they had both mostly recovered, they slumped against the doors of the bunker, falling into a sitting position. Golly, that was something, huh? Asriel said, as much to himself as to anyone. Sure was, buddy. Sure was. What if we kissed in front of the Gaster bunker and we were both boys? I like the addendum. Yeah, there's some voices in the music. Wait, just ignore them. With a sigh of contentment, Pants continued. You know, Az, this is the most perfect moment I think I've ever had. Being here with you, away from school and everything else. It's real nice, you know. I'm really gonna miss you when you go off to college. Asriel chuckled. Well, you still have a few years to get back, to get sick of me until then. Besides, who's to say that you won't come to college with me? Pants let out a chuckle as well, though his lacked the mirth of Asriel's. You know that won't happen, Azzy. I'm not smart like you are. I'm not well off like you are. I'm not like you are. Hey, don't talk like that. You're smart enough. You can do whatever you put your mind to. Azzy, please don't start with that. I don't want to think about that anymore. I just want to think about us. Here and now. Just you and me. After saying this, he paused for a second. And I guess these stupid birds. I wish they'd pick another song already. Jeez. However they sound. Asriel's face scrunched slightly in confusion. One usually couldn't hear the birds from here. In fact, a fact that he knew with great certainty, having pondered it aloud with Des, Chris, and Noel many times in the past. Listening for a few seconds, he realized that Pants was right. On the walk over here, they had been serenaded by a steady trickle of birdsong, flowing smoothly past their ears, a babbling brook of cheeps and chirps, liquid if you will. But now the babbling felt incoherent, rambling on without ceasing. An old faucet, a steady drip, 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 dripping away for minutes on end. A simple tune, and not by Tigran Hamassian, played on repeat, the notes blending together into an auditory Gestaltzerfall, which is a word I know from Signalis now. Asriel felt himself grow chill as he listened. He felt every muscle and tendon in his neck creak as he craned his head toward the noise, tilting one ear to hear better. Looking in the direction it seemed to be coming from, he saw a bird, perched upon a low branch. He stood slowly, then walked toward it with a measured pace. Ellie? Pants inquired, unsure what to make of this development. He looked around and, now on high alert, he noticed something peculiar. The trees at the perimeter, separating the woods from the clearing, were all connected. The roots coming together in a spot a few yards from the door, a mere feet from where he stood. Looking closer, he saw something in the dimming light, something which turned his veins solid ice, and that froze him in place. Turning to look around, he saw the same thing, an anomaly of every bird and every tree at the edge of the clearing. Pants, come here. I need you to look at something for me. Pants stood quickly. He had never heard Asriel speak like that before. His voice was high but strangely measured, and Pants could recognize the fear in his voice. Rushing to Asriel's side, he asked, What is it, Azzy? Asriel pointed to the bird. Does it look like these birds don't have feet? Pants looked closer at the bird Asriel had first seen. Where there should have been toes or talons gripping the branch, a twig instead split from the main limb and bent straight upward, where it terminated after an inch, disappearing into the bird's body. No, not under. Into. Is this like birds or government drones conspiracy stuff? Is that what this is? There's security cameras? At once, the clearing erupted with sound. The birdsong, once trickling forth freely, froze solid. A static, shrill, interminable noise now emanated from the trees, a sharp icicle that pressed against the eardrums and threatened to pierce. Asriel felt his heart skip a beat once, twice, thrice, before beginning again, pounding like a drunken percussionist. Feathers warped and stretched, and the cluster of roots joining the trees began to wriggle, slowly rising from the ground. The bird's branches and trunks began to deform, shrinking and shriveling as the flesh and tendons retracted, moving under the bark and feathers to congregate at the raised roots. The surface of the roots bulged and changed color, tissue writhing like worms in a rotten fruit, warping and deforming the bark so that surely must have been the creature's skin. The mass of shifting, fleshy roots shifted, revealing a toothy smile and two eyes, one grotesque, bloodshot pink, the other a sickening yellow. Oh no. The trees had come together into one being. No, they had been one being the whole time, watching, learning, beholden to their mutual vulnerability. Now it stood, a mound of ill-shapen flesh, flabby as blue with cyanosis. Flabby and blue as with cyanosis. From somewhere within, a throaty voice rang out, barely intelligible, and yet it spoke. The meaning made itself known, the senseless noise colliding with itself and leaving order and intention fully formed in the wreckage. Before Asriel could process what had been said, he felt the hand grasp his own. Sick. I gotta say, I'm getting some Courier New vibes in that paragraph. The boss baby voice is coming back. What are we doing just standing here, Azzy? Come on. Hearing the voice brought Asriel to his senses. The two turned and ran, Pants in the lead, as fast as he could go. They cut through the woods, the branches and twigs swatting them as they plowed through, thistles grabbing at their clothes as they passed. Not until they reached the Dreamer home's walkway did they stop, still buzzing with adrenaline. Pants bent double, gasping for breath. His soot-stained lungs were sore from the dry, cool air, and he had a stitch in his side. Even so, he noticed, he seemed to be faring better than Asriel. The Caprine monster was looking back the way they came, as though expecting to see a shambling mass of wooden flesh emerge from the growing dark, or the hint of an eye at the edge of the streetlight's glow. Looking him over, Pants saw that the side of his leg was stained red, a small hole visible in the fabric just above his knee. Blood. That was the spam totem, dude. That was the spam totem coming to get them. Holy shit. Azzy, you're hurt. We should get you inside. Asriel at last looked away from the road toward Pants. He was trembling, and Pants knew it wasn't from the cold. It's nothing, Pants, just a scratch. I'm more concerned about whatever that was. Pants, did you hear what it said? I heard something, all right. I'm not sure said is the right word for that noise. What did you hear? Asriel was silent for a moment. The stain was already turning gray, old blood turning to dust that... Oh, fuck you. Old blust... It's blust. You invented blust that helped the clot and heal. It spoke to me, Pants. It said it wanted my soul. It wanted to make a friend with it. I think it would have killed me if you hadn't stepped in. I think it wants something to do with Chris. Asriel stepped closer, grabbing Pants' hand in his own. Looking him in the eye, he spoke plaintively, desperation plain in his voice. Pants, while I'm away, please watch over them for me, won't you? I'm scared for them. Scared of what could happen if it finds them. Pants knew he couldn't do what was asked of him. Little Buddy was known for coming and going as they pleased, even with their own mother struggling to keep them out of trouble at all times. But this wasn't the time to say such things. Wrong text color. You got it, Azzy. They aren't going nowhere, as long as I'm around, I promise. Asriel looked relieved with a gentle squeeze of Pants' hand. He said softly,
Thank you.
With black text. That's fucked up. The text color being weird is throwing me off here. It's weird. Pants squeezed back. You got it, big guy. The two stood in silence for a second before the thought occurred to Pants. Hey, Azzy, what were you doing behind me anyway? You're like the fastest runner in town. You should have been way ahead of me. Asriel looked away. I wasn't about to let anything... I wasn't about to let anything... I can do it. I wasn't about to let anything happen to you. Pants couldn't believe what he was hearing. Azzy, what? You're way more important than little old me. You should have been in the lead. Hell, you probably could have just left me behind altogether. What were you thinking? Asriel gripped him firmly by the shoulders, taking Pants somewhat by surprise. Don't talk like that. You're worth more than you know. More to me, more to everyone. You've always been, and always will be. Asriel pulled him in for a hug. After a moment to contemplate his words, Pants returned it. The two monsters held in each other's embrace, a spot of warmth in the cold October night. When Pants pulled away, he wore what Asriel thought to be his most unique and credible face of all, the rarest Burger Pants face, a heartfelt, soft smile. Thanks, Az. Thank you for believing in me. Anytime, Pants, anytime. The two stood a moment longer, gazing into each other's eyes, before Pants looked away, scratching his head. I guess we should be getting home. Mom will freak out if I'm not back by 9. See you tomorrow? Asriel smiled. I'll be the one in the Yisho costume. Yisho. Every damn year. Pants muttered to himself. I love how even though it's a fanfic, we're still using copyright-free terminology. Pants muttered to himself as he walked off, shaking his head in a half-mock disbelief. Yeah, like, once as a Halloween costume, every year is it's a fursuit. He's a scaly. Your boyfriend is a scaly. Just get used to it. Pants muttered to himself as he walked off, shaking his head in half-mocked disbelief. Bah, bah. Asriel watched him go until he passed through a patch of streetlight and disappeared into the other side. Turning, he opened the door and returned inside. Nice. Epilogue. The creature stood at the entrance to the clearing for a moment. The creature was demonic in nature, watching the spot where the two had entered the woods as they fled. At last it turned and shambled back to the clearing, not bothering to hide itself or change its form. As it approached the bunker, it pondered what would come next. The day would come, and not too soon that. And not too soon after that, they would arrive. Something like that. Grammar error, hang on. Gotta note that. Oh wait, no, that was right. I just read it wrong. The day would come, and not too soon, that they would arrive. The one from the other world. The one with the power to determine fate. The one who would grant every last wish, every dream, every happy ending. When that day come, it would be ready. Everything was prepared. For what felt like eons, it had seen the way this world worked. These are the roots of our world. Men are props on the stage of life, and however tender, however exquisite, a lie will remain a lie. Sorry, I had to... It's a tree monster, right? A night would emerge, and close behind it would follow the fountains, the heroes, the all-consuming dark, and then it would all begin again. The time had gone around, around, around. It had no end, and the beginning, if it ever had one, had been retread so many times that it had lost all meaning. But this time it will end. For this time, a strange someone stirred in the depths, and where he went, it was certain that they would follow. It had learned so very long ago that they had an affinity for one called Asriel. As fortune would have it, so too did this world's human child. So alike to the vessel they had used in the other world, it almost came together too perfectly. And so as it stood before the great metal doors, it held up a single claw before its eyes, spotted with red that was so quickly fading to gray. It felt the dust as it was absorbed into its own skin, until the claw was clean again, sliding the claw through the crack in the doors, allowing itself to ooze through into the bunker. It allowed itself a single sentimental thought toward them. I just hope we'll be friends for 999 more years. So, that's a quote from the, wow, okay, that went places. That was cool. This was like a soft lore fucking Deltarune theory, just kind of encoded in there. That was nice. Time loop theory was in there, sure, just referenced. Ralsei is Asriel's dust, harvested by Aldia, scholar of the first sin. As a new character mimicking Gaster without grasping his nature. Sure, it's cooler as an out-of-context epilogue, though. The Mimic. Yeah, some good horror writing in that one. As funny as it sounds, when you mentioned like the punchline, the birds had no feet, I actually got a little bit of goosebumps from that. It's like, I don't know, sometimes horror just hits you with something that you weren't quite expecting. And you're like, ugh, it's kind of weird. I got a little twist of the uncanny from that. It kind of worked.